episodes for you to watch starting tomorrow. So I want to, without any further ado, I want to bring the director of the film, probably more than that, maybe the choreographer, the writer, the editor, the best boy, the key grip, Mr. Don Coscarelli. Thanks, sir.
Hey, thank you so much, and really appreciate all the applause. That's so nice. So, why don't we go ahead right away and bring our the rest of our cast up? And
we have a signed CD. Here's the CD, Don.
Okay.
This is me. I'm here. I think you're here.
All right. Okay, I got it. I worked the other way around. Okay, so let's start with the lovely lady in lavender, Miss Kat Lester. Come on down. And after Kat, we have Mr. Bill Thornberry. Come on down. Reggie Bannister, are you out there anywhere? Our intrepid ice cream vendor. And last but not least, Michael Baldwin. Come on down. So I guess
We got a few mics to share amongst us. So, you're going to want to turn that off, sir or madam. Anyway, first off, it looks and sounds amazing. So congrats on having the film look like this. I've only seen it on a bunged up 35mm print or a DVD Blu-ray.
all right, Reg, come on down, grab a chair. Come on in. Yeah, we were really fortunate. You know, it was a couple of, well, a decade or so ago, out of the blue, I got this phone call from a very nice gentleman who introduced himself and said, "My name's J.J. Abrams, and I do TV, and I just love Phantasm. I want to call and talk to you about it."
That's what he said. I do TV.
Yeah, well, that's all he did at the time, because he was doing Felicity, I think it was. So we had a nice chat, super nice guy, and that was about it, other than I said to him, "Well, you should get Reggie Bannister, Angus Scrimm into one of your shows." And unfortunately, Reg, he didn't think about you, but he did invite Angus to come into the Alias TV series, which Angus really appreciated. So then fast forward to a decade later, and I think it was a couple of years ago, I got an email from him, and he wanted to show Phantasm to his crew over at the Bad Robot show company. And you know, I gave him the choices. I had the scratched up old print, and then I had a DVD, which you know, was a standard def, you know, quality. And he said, "Oh, that can't be right. We'll fix that." And so he got his head of post-production, a guy named Ben Rosenblatt, on the phone. And Ben figured out a way where I could come in there in the evenings or when there was open equipment and work with their technicians and do this nice restoration. And so, you know, those guys would be working on Star Trek and Star Wars during the day, and then I'd get a phone call, "Hey, there's time tonight, come on over." And there were a couple of really cool guys that worked there. Another guy named Robbie Stampler and his partner Lindsay Alvarez. And Robbie was a big Phantasm fan also. And he did all the audio restoration work and really made the soundtrack sing, I thought. Yeah, it was really nice to hear.
Sounds amazing.
So in a nutshell, that's how it came to be.
You know, I look at it and I see little details that I haven't noticed before. I was fixating on Angus's tie tack. Was that a little strawberry, or what was that? Do you remember? I know it's a stupid
question. No, it was
question,
a little red crystal, and I think there was some sort of power. People tend to, you know, interpret it as being the source of his power. I don't know where it came from, but it was there.
I'll call it a strawberry. So I'm I'd like everybody to sort of chime in on this first question. And also, I'm gonna ask the audience of multiple theaters out there, if you have questions, you can launch them to us via Twitter using hashtag AskAlamo, AskAlamo. And our man Christian in the corner will be fielding questions from Twitter. We'll take some from the live audience here and some from the theaters all over the country. But first, yeah, I found with my own brain that the things that stick in my mind the most are the most traumatic memories. None of the really good ones stick. It's just that when I pee my pants, you know, when I was in, you know, high school or whatever. From your time on the set of Phantasm, what's What's your most burned-in memory of the production? I'd love to hear from all of you guys. It could be good, bad, or otherwise.
Most burned-in memory? Oh, Jesus. Phantasm is such a big part of my childhood, it's difficult for me to answer that kind of specific question, to be quite honest. There are so many moments that are just a part of my regular childhood, just like every single person in this room had a childhood, and there are parts that are burned in. The whole experience of shooting that movie over the course of some long months, maybe a year, you know, the whole thing, I would go away for the weekend and we would shoot, and then I would go back to school. And get beat up in junior high, you know, just a regular kind of thing. So a specific moment is difficult for me to grasp, but the thing is, it's like looking through a photo album, a family photo album. In the old days we had photo albums and we look through them and there were actually photos in them. That's what it's like, and so I'm looking at my family and myself, and you don't necessarily even recognize yourself from that long ago. It's just another memory from, you know, a long time ago. So I don't know how to answer that question, Tim, I'm sorry. It was a great time. We had a really lot of fun.
I'm going to count that as an answer, technically.
Okay, thank you.
It's all good.
Here's Reggie Bannister.
Well, I'm kind of like with you because we shot it over a few years, and I know one of the things that comes to mind was I was working in Belmont Shore, just outside of Long Beach, right next to Long Beach. I was working at a place called the West Coast Bodega and playing music, and I'd finish up there at 2 o'clock in the morning after playing music all evening, and Paul Pepperman would come and pick me up, and we'd drive off to someplace like Big Bear and shoot a scene with the ice cream truck where I go, this guy's not going to leak all over my ice cream, right? And stuff like that. It was wacky. But it just seemed that was the way we made films. And we'd had that experience a couple of other times with Don. And you had it with him on Kenny and Company, which, although, yeah.
That's right. If you haven't seen Kenny and Company, add that to your list, newbies.
Yeah.
So there's 5 movies to watch.
Yeah, great film.
And
Jim the World's Greatest, which that was Don's first film, and my first film with you, Don.
So many memories, so long ago, too many Dos Equis, so much music played between scenes, always guitars on the set, you know, waiting for us when we got done shooting. This is a musical group right here, man. I mean, this young lady has an extraordinary voice and a wonderful talent. Of course, Reggie, he's a great songwriter and a wonderful singer and a great musician. And then Mike, who blossomed later, you know, I mean, with his musical talents, plays the guitar quite well, and ukulele even, and was one of the finest whistlers on the planet.
I wish he'd do it right now.
Man, this kid can whistle, I'm telling you.
really, you could whistle. Perhaps we could have you whistle a few bars.
Come on,
come
Mike.
on. Anybody want to hear a little whistling?
We're
Wasn't
gonna
my
get so
idea,
much
was
trouble.
it?
And he can too, man. He's a great whistler.
Whenever anybody tells you how great you are, and then you're supposed to do the thing, that's usually a recipe for disaster, so I don't really know if that's really fair.
Yeah. Come on. Show him some love here.
Ah, yeah.
I guess thank you.
I could go on. Thank you very
That
much.
was amazing.
Thank you, Mike.
Probably the thing that stands out with me I got to do scenes with all these guys in this gal here. The one with the tall man though in the mortuary when he says, "The funeral's about to begin, sir." It scared the crap out of me tonight. You know, so it kind of gave me chills to see the movie, and it's wonderful the memories that were made then and the memories we're making tonight with all of you seeing a really wonderful remastered version of Phantasm. Thank you.
Good. There are two things that are burned into my mind forever.
It's gonna be.
What? One of them was this guy right here, Mike. He was just a pain in the behind. From day one. I found out later he had a crush on me, and that's why he was acting that way. All the 12 and 13 years old, that's what boys do. But the scene where there's this huge, well, there's the wind blowing and the leaves and everything right before I stab nice little Reggie man over there. Well, Mike decided it'd be really a lot of fun to just throw rocks and twigs, all kinds of things into this giant fan that, I mean, it's the kind that you use to clear out the exhaust from airplanes. And it was like 30 degrees or something, or it felt like it. It felt like 25 once they started the fan going. But Mike was throwing all this stuff in it. I was being hit by rocks and stuff. And I remember, I remember Don is like, Kat, can you just relax? You need to be more limp. So that was one thing. The other thing was, first of all, disclaimer, those were not my breasts that you saw.
That was my next question. So.
Those were not mine. The thing was is that I originally was supposed to do the scene in drawn panties. Not such a big deal, but when it was time for me to do the scene, it was supposed to be closed set, and somehow all these guys from the nearest college found out about this scene. And when I came out to do this scene, I was like, I'm not going to do this. I can't. And Don said, well, do you mind if we get a body double? And I said, sure, why not? So I come to the screening with my mother. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, you know, it's ooh, ah, and there's my breasts 40 feet high. Well, not mine, but some breasts 40 feet high were by, or is it 20? I don't know what it was, but it was too much.
Big breasts is
And
what we're talking
yes, and I let out this scream, and Don Coscarelli and Paul Pepperman were sitting behind just laughing their asses off. And then my mother turns to me and she said, oh, Kat, you should have done that scene. Your breasts are much better. But all in all, this was one of the best experiences, I have to say, ever. I just feel like we're family. I feel like we always will be. And I have to say, I really miss Angus. He was wonderful. So let it go.
Don, can you talk a little bit about, I mean, Angus is such a singular force through these movies, like where you guys met, how you got him into the film, the origin story of how he became connected with Phantasm.
Well, Angus was in the first film that I had ever made, this Jim the World's Greatest, and he had just walked into an open casting call where we had, you know, hundreds of people walking through, and we needed this adult actor to play a very complicated father character who was an alcoholic, and he was just magnificent in the role. But, you know, he was the first adult actor I'd ever worked with, and on Jim the World's Greatest, I co-directed with a neighborhood friend of mine, and we were, I think we started the movie when we were 18 and finished it when we were in our 20s, so it was this long period, and we would have Angus drive 35 miles down to where we were shooting in my hometown of Long Beach, California, and we were so just disorganized that at the end of the day, we might not have gotten to Angus's scenes, and it fell to me to walk down the hallway in this little apartment building where he'd been sitting in this bedroom for 9 hours and go, excuse me, Mr. Scrim, but we're not going to get to you today. And Angus would turn and affix me with this look, and his eyebrow would go up, and it was the tall man looking at me, and I would back out of this room mortified. So, you know, I was always thinking that, wow, Angus would just make the best pirate or a horror star. You know, I was thinking he would be something like that. So when we were when I was thinking of this, setting something in a mortuary where we would need an undertaker as the key figure, obviously he was the natural choice.
So the film, bona fide cult sensation over the years, huge fan following. This is another question for everybody. Has anybody had a really strange or memorable or funny moment where Phantasm has come back into their life from fan culture, like some sort of interaction with fans that's been odd or unusual?
Well, I think Bill could tell us a story about the fan that came to visit him at his house.
And that included you later too, didn't it?
That's true, yes.
One night, I've been teaching music for almost 30 years to young people up in Northern California. And we were living in Fresno, my son was young. And Sharon and I were having a quiet evening at home, we thought, with our son. And sitting at the dinner table, and the doorbell rang. And I walked up to the door and opened it up, and there was a man standing there in military fatigues. He goes, Bill Thornberry? I went, I think so. And with that, he just walked straight in my house. He just walked right by me, straight into the house, stood in the middle of my living room, turned sideways and said, "Don't you think I could be the next tall man?" And I looked over at Sharon, right, who's here tonight with me, and she's looking at Ben. He's going, 911, 911. Ben was like 2.5 or 3, right? And he's almost 30 now, right? But it's amazing what, you know, your survival skills, they kind of take over sometimes in situations like that. And I said, you know, would you like some Phantasm, do you like memorabilia? Like, would you like to have some Phantasm memorabilia? He goes, you have any? And I went, do I have any? I walked over to this little cupboard and I pulled out this box that was full of stuff like the box with the yellow finger, a Phantasm clock, and posters from all over the world, right? And I said, here. I said, you can take this, I'll just make you a deal, that you'll just take this right now and kind of leave so Sharon and my son and I can finish our dinner tonight. He goes, no way, man. And he goes, thank you. And he just walked out with this box full of Phantasm memorabilia. I never saw him again. Only to hear that he wound up waiting for Dawn in the underground parking lot on Wilshire Boulevard the next morning. Thank you. Oh my God.
Next tall man.
Yeah. So anyway,
but Bill, that being said, we have to say that we have had awesome experiences with the rest of our fans, because when we've got, you know, it's one of the beauties of working in the genre, honestly, Tim, is the fact that, you know, friends of mine who direct comedies or dramas or whatever, they don't necessarily go to an event like Fantastic Fest. They don't go to the big horror conventions and things like that, where they're fans who are rabidly interested in their work and want to talk about it. And it's really been a blessing for us, honestly. And the truth is that except for that one guy, I don't think we've ever had another strange experience that I can remember.
Fair enough. Any super positive experiences?
Experience, it's not from back in the day, happens to me all the time. It's at a convention, or even it happened tonight already, here tonight, where a certain person will approach me, and they usually are about my age, and it's usually a dude, and they almost always have a black t-shirt on. I don't know if that makes a difference, but...
Odds are around here probably a black t-shirt.
So the person will come up to me and they'll say something like this, and in all sincerity, they will say, I just want to let you know that this film had a huge impact on me in my childhood, and my life at that time was fucked up. Pick your reason for why it was bad. This has happened to me hundreds of times, folks. And the man will say, and your film carried me through a certain period of my life that was far too difficult for anybody to have to deal with. And that film did it for me. And it was the relationship between these 3 guys, the brothers and the best friend, and fighting the tall man. And I can't tell you how many times it's happened, many, many times. And it's difficult to translate really what the person is saying. It made an impact for that particular person. And, you know, they're crying and they're so grateful, and it's amazing. It's happened many times.
It's true. It's happened to me as well, yeah. People come up and they go, man, I can't, believe what you guys have done for me. Just the friendship that we portray, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, and we're up against, the evil of the world, and the tall man he represents the evil of the world, and he's trying to take over, and we're going, no fucking way, man. You can spell that with a PH.
Shall we see what the Twitterverse has to say? Christian, you got any questions on the hashtag Ask Alamo?
Sure, yeah, so this is for Don. This is from Chris Oz McIntosh, and he asks, what's your best piece of advice for a 23-year-old filmmaker wanting to make his first feature film?
Well, listen, it was the best of times and it's the worst of times. Seriously, there's never been an easier time to put your vision on the screen with the digital tools and desktop software that's available, and also with the readily available distribution scheme of using YouTube and other outlets. So on that side, it's wonderful. The kind of things that when I was a young filmmaker, if I had those kind of tools and those kind of outlets, it would have just been awesome. Now, making a buck at it, that's another story, because we're really in a period of transition. All of us have witnessed something where, not that long ago, on the Saturday nights, we were going to the video stores and we were getting those VHS tapes and we were getting those DVDs, and the economics of that were great for Hollywood and also for the independents, and that's sort of going away, because it used to be that the DVD, the net profit on it was about $10 on every disc, and now, you play it on Netflix or something, and I think the revenue's about a nickel or something. So it's just been really difficult. And so I believe that every person has a story in them that's compelling, and if they can find a way to tell that story and communicate it to other people, that there's a way to find a path to success. I find that everybody that I know who's broken into the business, and I'll wrap this up quickly, has found some different kind of crack into it. Bruce and Sam Raimi with The Evil Dead, they made a trailer first, okay, and then they showed it to investors. A friend of mine, Jamie Blanks, who did the cool Australian film director, did Urban Legend, and he heard about some people looking for a script, and he just went out and shot a scene, and it was actually for a movie called It Happened One Summer, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the producers saw that and liked it so much that then they just brought him from Australia up to direct a big Hollywood picture. And it's like every few years I find somebody who has found their own crack. There is a way to find your way into this business. It's just not easy. It takes perseverance, and it's just damn hard work, and luck plays a lot of it. But you can express yourself every day by making movies, and just tying that around. David Hartman, who has directed Phantasm Ravager, what I loved about him is Dave goes out with his pack of friends, and every weekend they make a movie with these digital tools. It's a short movie, but trying out different software, and so you can express yourself. Making the money, that's the challenge.
And have your mom make your costumes. All right.
Always a good.
How about a question from the live audience here in Austin, Texas? Any questions here? Right here, sir.
Well, there was a lot of...
Hang on one second, we gotta repeat the questions because we have
right, of course.
theaters all over.
You're talking about the influence of Frank Herbert's Dune and Roger Zelazny. Dune, obviously, I never thought they'd make a movie out of it, so what are you gonna do? I shouldn't say any more about that. Actually, Roger Zelazny, a great writer. I've subsequently read his material, but the only reason I chose that book that was there on Michael's table was because it had that cool orange color with that freaky robot. So that was the only reason there. But when I was making that film, there were, the old Isaac Newton quote about we we stand on the shoulders of giants. Well, you know, for me, it was William Cameron Menzies, who had made the great 1954 Invaders from Mars, obviously James Whale and all of his great movies at that time. And then I had been watching some of, I guess, I hate to say that they weren't quite my contemporaries, because they're a lot older than me, but Tobe Hooper and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and of course Dario Argento and Suspiria. These are the kind of things that I was watching and liking at the time. And a lot of really great independent movies when I was a kid that, you know, that it seems like we've strayed. You know, I grew up on Peter Bogdanovich and The Last Picture Show, and you know, the Jack Nicholson pictures, Bob Rafelson with 5 Easy Pieces, and so, you know, I guess watching those kind of movies gave me the audacity to stop a horror movie right in its track and have a 3-minute music sequence. You know, who would do that? But it was just because I was seeing these 70s movies where they were a lot of slice of life type of stuff. So anyway.
Let's head back to the Twitterverse. Christian, what do you got for us over there?
This is an amalgamation of lots of questions. So kind of one last question. What was everyone's favorite scene or moment with Angus?
He wants to know what's your favorite scene with Angus?
Or moment?
Oh, I'm sorry, from what we just saw, right? You know, I think that, you know, when he starts to reveal himself to you, Bill, in the mausoleum, and he puts his hand on your shoulder, and man, that's awesome. Because, I mean, he just, you know, and you know why he's the tall man, why he's referred to as the tall man, because he's every bit of that mausoleum, isn't he? He's just as hard as those mausoleum walls. And I think that's the big reveal on the tall man, is that particular scene, for me.
And the other one, the one that just kills me is the one with no dialogue, and that's when we shot it in Julian, and Mike's got the Tootsie Roll pop, and and you see Angus walking, and then you're pulling up there and pulling the ice cream out of the truck, and it's just so eerie and just otherworldly that it just gives you chills when you see that scene. And it's pure art. That's, you know, that scene right there. I mean, when you don't say anything and you have that kind of visceral reaction to it, for sure.
I think I like the scene in the mausoleum where shortly after the spear kills the guy, and then all of a sudden Mike turns around and there's a tall man who comes in the background, and then they sort of have this little pause and they stand there staring at each other. Now what I recall is standing on set with Angus and Don and talking about, okay, well, what do you want to do? What do you guys want to do? What the hell is this scene about? What are we going to do? How are we going to... And now we're just 3 of us are chatting about, okay, well, we could do this and do this, and pretty much we settle on this like, kind of a Western idea, if I'm not mistaken. That was the conversation, where, okay, well, we'll do like a gunfight, and these guys will turn and face each other, and they'll take a couple steps, and they'll mimic each other's movements, and they'll take a little step closer, and then we'll go into the chase. So Angus used to always tell that sort of story, and he would call that little dance that we did a pavon. I don't know what a pavon is, but apparently he knew, and so he would say, oh, Michael, the pavon that we did was a beautiful dance. Something like that, so that's what I enjoy.
This could extend also beyond the film itself. So
yeah, I would say that the moment that I find amazing is I received a letter from Angus a few weeks after we had our first sneak preview of the film, and it was almost like Angus could see into the future, and he wrote me this really heartfelt story about how happy he was to be part of this movie, and he really thought that it was going to scare a generation of young people, and that people would be talking about it for many years to come. And I'm reading this, you know, I'm like 25 years old, and I'm thinking, wow, this guy's really getting out here. But I think Angus really saw what we had done, and the proof, of course, is tonight, and all these wonderful people who are still interested in the film. And thank you, Angus.
Cat,
A memory?
That's one of my favorite as well, the scene with you both at the mausoleum doing the hall. That was amazing. I also love it, it's just a quick scene, but it's when Mike climbs the ice cream truck is turned on its side, the way the whole scene is lit, and you climb up and there are rays of light. I don't know, it looks really eerie and pretty amazing shot. You know which one I'm talking about? Where the ice cream, yeah. You're kidding,
That's
I
true.
didn't
We
know
shot
that.
it in the warehouse, and listen, we gotta name some of the great collaborators. And I know some of them are out there watching us in Art House Day, like Roberto Quezada. And we got to this terrible argument about whether we could put a light behind the ice cream truck so that we would have this. Yeah, completely unmotivated. We tried to motivate everything, but that was the one unmotivated time that everyone puts as the. So, yeah, go against your instincts sometimes. Everyone out there. And also, I don't know if you guys remember Bob Del Valle, who was our production manager, and I know he's up in Portland watching us right now. And hey, Bill, what's that thing behind you over there? I see something hiding back there. What's going on back there?
Oh, so unexpected. Oh, it just happened to be an extra.
I don't know how that got there.
I did not bring my guitar. This guitar was furnished today, and thank you, by the way. I don't know if you want to hear a tune.
Oh, we do. Does anyone want to hear a tune? Yes, we do.
Gee, I wonder what we should do. Red, you should be here with your guitar. Just sitting here in midnight, and I'll be sitting here till noon. You see, my baby left me lonely, yes she did. My baby left me blue, and I'm just so sad and lonely. Since I lost my love, blue, I can feel for a lifetime. And I wonder who is holding you, baby. Who's holding you at midnight? That second verse. Sitting here midnight, Cat Lester, drowning myself in wine, while I'm searching for a reason. 1,000 stay in my mind, and I'm just so sad and lonely. Since I lost my love, blue, I can feel for a lifetime. And I wonder who is holding you, babe. Who's holding you at midnight? And I wonder who is holding you, baby. Who's holding you at midnight? Missing those Reggie licks in there, though. Those Reggie licks were awesome. Damn.
Guys, it has been such an honor to have you on the stage for the first annual Art House Theater Day. We've kicked it off with a bang. All other Art House Theater Days for all the decades to come will be vastly inferior to right now, right here. You guys are awesome. An awesome movie, awesome franchise. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right.
And they'll be signing some Mondo posters out in the lobby. Thank you guys so much.